Welcome to Nutrition Genius Radio. I'm your host, Laura, the sassy dietitian, along with my good nutrition genius friend Marie, aka Pearl, and we're here to explain why coconut oil is better, bacon is the king of the world, and butter and garlic will bring about world peace. Disclaimer: the views on this podcast are not meant to be substituted for medical advice, but are for general information only. Let's dive in.
Hey girl, hey.
What's shaking, bacon?
Oh, just hanging out here. Oh my gosh, fun fact, I had a severe case of the Mondays this week.
Oh no.
So I get to work, right, and our internet doesn't work, and there was a squirrel in the kitchen.
Oh my God.
So, I work at an eating disorder treatment facility, and it's a fairly small facility, so we have like a normal kind of like house-sized kitchen, like a decent house-sized kitchen. But it's like in the middle of the building, right? So there's no, like the front door is not anywhere near it. So we're like, how did a squirrel get in here? So our office manager was like unlocking everything in the morning, and she went and unlocked the kitchen door, and like this squirrel just comes flying out of nowhere, like across her head. So she goes running out, and we're trying to figure out like how it even got in there. And so they're redoing the roof of our like office building, and apparently there's a hood that goes from above the stove that vents out to the roof, so apparently someone forgot to like replace the grate, and the squirrel like came through.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was in there all weekend.
Oh.
So we had to call like a critter guy to come pick him up, and he was like, oh my God, it was so funny because you would hear just like all of this clattering, and then the critter guy being like, crap. And then, like,
he couldn't get them. Oh my God. Was there like, like little scat from him?
Oh my gosh, yes. It was a disaster, and of course like a health department nightmare. So luckily though, my chef, oh my God, I love my chef. Shout out Chef Todd. He's probably not listening, but
hey, Todd.
He's amazing, and he is also a germaphobe, and he's super good at like testing temperatures and making sure everything's like hitting our, critical control points. So he is also a super germaphobe and is very clean. And so he was like, I can't prep food here. And I was like, you're absolutely not prepping food here. So
oh my God.
He went to work on cleaning, and luckily we had like a treatment team meeting, and then after that I just went in and prepped lunch. But like I prepped lunch outside, like on our dining room table, so that it had nothing to do with the kitchen. And it was good because the majority of our food is either in the refrigerators or in cabinets. Like there was very few things that were out like on the counter that the squirrel could have gotten into, but it was more of just like having to sanitize every single surface.
Because he was probably everywhere.
Yeah, but it was really funny. Like, who does that happen to?
My God, you.
Of course.
Of course.
What about you? What's going on in your life?
Oh, man. I wish I could say fun things, but yesterday I was learning how to slackline. Have you ever done that?
No, what is it?
It's like, when like, this is totally up your alley. It's like a hippie thing to do.
I love hippie things. Yay.
It's like when they tie a line between two like trees. Uh-huh. And like it's like a balance beam, but it's like it moves. So
it's like a tightrope.
Kind of, only probably thicker. I've never been on a tightrope, so I guess I can't really compare. But it was really cool. Like I wasn't doing very well.
Were you doing it at CrossFit?
Yeah. So this girl.
Wait, team time out. First of all, though, another question. How far up off the ground is it? So, like, if you fall.
Oh, so we have a big mat under it, so that way there's like no liabilities, right?
Okay.
So
I can see some severe twisted ankles.
Oh yeah, it could be bad. And if you're a dude, like that might hurt because I kept falling on it, like with one leg, like my leg straddling it.
Right.
And I was like, I think I'm a girl, but
yeah.
But that we have it like between two poles, so. I'm showing you as if our listeners can see my hands. I'm such a
Laura likes to talk with her hands.
I do. One day we might do a video chat.
She makes all these faces at me too during these podcasts. So I think you guys should probably know this is episode 1, #twinning. However, we've already recorded episode 2 because this is the 4th time we've recorded episode 1 because
we've had technical difficulties over and over and over and over.
So we may reference things. Really, you'll just have to... I feel like it's just encouragement for you guys to listen to episode 2.
Exactly. But this episode is called #twinning because we are basically twins. So why don't we go ahead and actually introduce ourselves instead of just telling people about our random stories of squirrels and slacklines? Because even though that's who we are, they should probably know, we have some credentials in the nutrition world. So we have Marie over there from Pearls of Nutrition. She is a newly registered dietitian. When we originally did episode 1, she was not a registered dietitian. So you can think what you want at this point. But I promise she's a dietitian. Pretty much a nutrition genius extraordinaire. So when we go into the science of things, she's going to be the one that's all, knee deep, whatever, waist deep. What is that saying? I don't know. I always mess up sayings and JJ makes fun of me. I just can't get them right to save my life. And then you got me over here. I'm Laura. I'm the sassy dietitian. You'll probably realize why I'm sassy. Sometimes I'm just too sarcastic for my own good. I can't help it. It's just how I was brought up. Thanks, Dad. He's probably not listening. So, hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
And
yes, we should probably definitely shout out our moms, who are probably the only 2 people listening right now.
They're probably like, why did you record this 4 times? Because we are not technical geniuses. We are only nutrition geniuses.
Yes.
So we're not claiming to be anything but that. And sometimes we may not be a nutrition genius, but it's fine. It happens. I mean, that's what science is. It's, ever-changing. So we will be ever-changing with it.
And I think that's one of the benefits of listening to a podcast from Laura and I is, although we are self-proclaimed nutrition geniuses, we're more than aware that we do not know all that there is out there, and we're hungry for nutrition information, pun intended.
Definitely intended.
We love nutrition, and so we're always out trying to learn new things. So we are nutrition geniuses, but there's always something new out there.
And I would say we're a little different as registered dietitians go. We both are. I don't know if I said I was. I can't remember at this point. But we are both dietitians, but we're very unconventional as they come. That's part of the reason we met and became friends, because we were working in a hospital setting and, seeing trays and trays of sugary foods being given to diabetic patients just literally made our skin crawl, and there was nothing we could do about it. So we take a more holistic approach. We talk about just eating real food and listening to your body as opposed to listening to the media and, all that fun stuff. So we'll probably give you a little different approach than you might hear from some other dietitians out there, but I think there's starting to be a big pack of us who are kind of sick and tired of the traditional ways or more the conventional ways, and we want to get back to the traditional ways. Because it's not working. It's not working.
Obesity is getting worse, and people's chronic disease is getting worse. Our population is aging, and something needs to change to make sure that the issue that is going on in healthcare right now doesn't perpetuate.
Exactly.
So why don't you tell us, Laura, how you started getting into this unconventional way of thinking, how you started in nutrition in general?
So, I'm only laughing because we've done this 4 times. So, obviously our listeners don't know, but I was definitely probably not destined to be a dietitian from a young age. I loved my chicken fingers and my hot dogs, and I really didn't care about food. Like, I cared more about getting outside to play, so literally I would shove food in my mouth, hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets, and it'd probably be half on my clothes because I was rushing to get outside to play. And my parents would get so mad at me. I actually asked for a dog so that it would eat my broccoli, which I find hilarious because I eat broccoli like easily 3 times a week just because I love it so much. And it's funny because when we got my dog, she hated broccoli, and she still to this day. She's 14. God bless her. She still won't eat broccoli. She'll eat
my dog
everything.
Won't eat vegetables. Well, that's untrue. So I feed my dog real food. She'll eat it if it's frozen. Just fun fact. So maybe your dog will eat your broccoli if you give it to her.
Well, now I don't want to give it to her. But anyway, yeah, so that's where I was. And then my mom actually developed food allergies when I was young, and she was sick all the time, and I didn't quite understand why. And so in the beginning, I just kind of would stay away from any food that would cause her harm. Like, it was weird. It was like carrots, celery, and peanuts. And then it kind of developed from there. She just kept getting worse, which we probably figured out now is because she had celiac disease, and so it was just manifesting in other ways.
That poor thing.
Yeah, so, and they just kept giving her drugs as opposed to taking things out in her diet. Anyway, so I didn't understand it, and so by the time I got to college, they offered, like, a Nutrition 101 class, and of course I was like, oh, I really want to take that. And my mom, like, laughed in my face. She's like, I don't think you're going to like that, because she's thinking of, like, turkey or a Turkey Day. Thanksgiving.
My favorite day of the year.
Okay, you're going to hate me then. Well, it's one.
How do you not like Thanksgiving?
No. Okay,
that's just un-American.
Wait. So I love Thanksgiving now, but when I was, there's a bug on my computer. I
wish you guys could see her face.
As you'll find out in episode 2, Marie likes to bring nature inside. I do not. Nature stays outside. Anyway, so...
Oh my god, that was hilarious. You can't cut that out.
Oh gosh. We'll explain my nature habits. That's some other episode. But, yeah, so disclaimer, I love Thanksgiving now. I loved a good home-cooked turkey. Love all that stuff. But when I was younger, I swore that I didn't like turkey. And honestly, I don't think I had ever tried it. It was just me being a pain. And so I loved my mom's homemade ravioli. So I used to just beg her and be like, I won't eat the turkey. Will you make me ravioli? I was such a brat. And she did. Every Thanksgiving, there'd be a huge, beautiful display because she's an amazing cook, of everything you could ever want. And then a bowl of ravioli.
Mama Akione.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
She's the bomb.
She is the bomb. She's like this little 100-pound nothing bomb.
She's adorable.
Anyway, so, whatever. So my parents...
So you took the nutrition class that your mom was laughing hysterically at
and I
for.
just, fell in love. I'm like, this makes so much sense. It was just basically telling you, how food is your medicine and how food, reacts in the body and how it can, make you healthy or make you sick. And it's really basic, but it was just, a light bulb went off. And I was like, oh, my God, I can... I was like, maybe I can help my mom. And at the time I was a D1 swimmer. So I was like, oh my gosh, and maybe I can help my swimming. Because it just, nobody had ever said to me well, my mom probably had, but you don't listen to your mom when you're, 16 and moody and listening to Good Charlotte. So, so she probably told me, but I didn't listen until this crazy nutrition professor. He was crazy. He one day stripped for us. I don't know why.
What?
I mean, he had clothes under his clothes, but I remember he took off his regular clothes and he was in gym clothes, and then he started to explain how we use fuel. So he was just running laps around our lecture hall, and he's God. When I'm sprinting, I'm using this, and when I'm running slow, I'm just burning fat. It was hilarious.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Beta oxidation.
And I was right. I was like, I can get into this. I was like, I can love this. Anyway, so that was a long, drawn out, probably the longest I've ever talked about it.
I just learned more. This is the 4th time I've heard this story, and I just learned more than what I had the first 3 times.
That's kind of how I feel how my journey was. It wasn't a straight line, which yours wasn't either. A lot of people know what they want to be when they grow up, and I just didn't. I mean, obviously.
I don't understand that. How old are you when you applied to college? 17? I didn't know anything.
No, I probably wanted to be an astronaut at some point, which is funny now because we were watching Apollo 13 this weekend, and I was like, I would never want to go to space.
My God, it'd be so cool.
Right. You hippie. I don't want to pee in floating air.
That's a good point. How do you pee in space?
Well, in Apollo 13, he just had a bag or something, and then they
That's more difficult for girls, though.
Right. Well, they do have a thing called a Shiwi or Shigo at EMS. It's a funnel, which I would seriously consider, because hiking in Yosemite or camping, when we were hiking, it stunk. JJ would be like, oh, I'll be right back. And I'm like, yeah, just hold it. It's fine.
Yeah.
No big deal. Because there was never, especially there was never a good, like, I guess, like, blocked area.
Right,
and
right.
It was such a populated, like, there's so many hikers. I was like, I don't want people to see me. Anyway, that was really random. Anyway, okay, so Marie, why don't you tell us why you got into nutrition? Because I know, but I could probably learn something. Let us know.
Well, let me see if I can come up with any new information for you. I went to college originally for psychology. I wanted to be a marriage and family therapist, like my aunt, shout out, Aunt Robin. And I got towards my junior year and I was like, wow, I really don't know if I could listen to people's problems all day long. And it wasn't so much, well, it was a little bit that, because that's pretty emotionally draining on your own self. But I think the bigger part of it was the fact that I knew that if I had to do that and my client didn't go out and make the changes that we had talked about, I know that I would always blame myself for it. So it just wasn't my path. And I had an aunt that lived in the Albany area, and she was just saying, hey, come out here, live with us. We'll figure it out. So I was just looking for jobs in the area, just on some random job website, and I saw a posting for a registered dietitian. And I was like, that sounds cool. So I did a little more research and looked in what the educational background is required for it. And meanwhile, finishing my degree in psychology. I don't know if I added that part in. So I did some research. I went out and I bought a nutrition book, and I read like 2 pages of it and applied for school the next day, because I was like, this is mind blowing. I didn't even know that all I could do all day long is just talk about food. This is fantastic. Thing. It is. And the funny part about the whole thing, I think, though, is I really truly thought that when I was going to go to school, my classes were going to be like Vegetables 101. And I get there and they were like, hey, by the way, nutrition's all biochemistry. And I was like, I hate chemistry. But the weird thing was I loved it. There was
so cool.
Yes, there's just something about it, though, that, like, clicks for me. Like, everything makes sense. They were like, hey, you have to draw all 20 amino acids. And I was like, cool. I can't wait. I remember sitting in the class when our professor told us we needed to memorize the chemical structure for all 20 amino acids. And I looked over at my friend, and I was like, I can't wait to go home and make flashcards.
This is why we're hashtag twinning. I love flashcards.
Oh my gosh, I love them.
I just learned that about you. See, I learned something new.
Yeah. So that's how. And it was can't eat, my love for nutrition. Can't eat, can't sleep. Reach for the stars, over the fence, New York Giants, Super Bowl kind of thing.
Oh, love that. Love that movie.
No, great movie.
And what is your favorite pathway?
Ooh, like metabolic cycle?
Any pathway. It can even be, I don't know if I'm using the right word. Your favorite thing in the body.
My favorite thing, I know what you're getting at. My favorite thing is the enterohepatic circulation of bile. And sometimes...
Okay, so circulation pathway, I don't know.
I knew that's what you were getting at, though, right?
Totally what I was getting at. Because
I was like, are you
You got so excited, you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
Because I probably like I don't know, I like beta oxidation a lot.
This is why she's the genius in the relationship. I'm just here for comic relief.
Yeah, I really like the enterohepatic circulation of bile, which I feel like we're probably going to have a whole podcast on, just to satisfy my nerdy tendencies.
Perfect. I'll dumb it down for everyone. Don't worry. Don't tune out now. It'll be okay. We'll all sit here together and just be in awe of Marie's nerdiness. And nerdiness is a good term. Anyway, go ahead.
It's a term of endearment in this situation.
It is.
So why don't you tell our listeners how and why this episode is called #twinning?
So, it's not because we forgot to take out the T and we have sausage fingers when we type, but I do. If you ever get into a texting, conversation with me, you'll notice that my sausage fingers come into play.
Sometimes I feel like our conversations aren't real life because it's all misspellings. But that's why we are #twinning, is because we totally understand everything that's going on.
I'm like, don't even bother trying it. She'll get it. Anyway, so we're #twinning because we started working in a hospital in Albany, New York. What up, upstate? And Marie had been working there for like a year, probably by the time I got there.
Yeah, I think so.
And, I moved to the area to be with my now husband. What up?
Shout out JJ, who better be listening.
Yeah, he better be listening. He probably will, and he'll giggle. He'll be like, hee hee.
I love him.
I do too. He's so cute. He's my lobster. Or my penguin. Both, whatever.
The lobster.
Anyway, so we met while we were working there, right? And, I don't know how it came about, but, one of us probably had a situation where somebody was, eating pancakes and oatmeal and syrup and bananas for breakfast. And, somebody was just like, I don't understand why they're eating so much sugar. Every other dietitian is like, oh, no, they're getting their carbs, blah, 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 blah. Well, two of us are very opinionated and pretty sassy. So I think, someone was talking about how they can't understand, our regular diet and our whatever. And then someone brings up Deep Nutrition with Dr. Cate Shanahan, and I'm pretty sure it was Marie, and I looked over and I was like, I love that book, and she's like, oh my god, me too. And it was probably even more excited than that because we realized that
I'm sure we might have been jumping up and down.
Yeah, probably. It was probably ridiculous, and our whole office was probably staring at us, not a 12-women office. And what up, girls? If you're listening, you should be listening.
Me too. They should. They probably are.
They probably are.
We had a great group of people working there at that time, and I think that they embraced our eccentricities.
Yes. So anyway, we found out that we really liked this same doctor, Dr. Cate Shanahan. Shout out to her.
You will be on this podcast.
Yeah, she is just amazing. She's basically blazing the trail in a lot of this traditional medicine and food as medicine, and the fact that even as a doctor, you don't need to be treating with medication as Band-Aids. You need to be treating with food and diet and lifestyle to kind of, help diseases prevention and
or even reversal.
Right. And so the two of us were just like, oh my God, you know her. And we got really excited because we're like, okay, we have what's that called? A companion. No, that's really not the word I'm looking for. Someone who
it's a partner in crime.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I meant to say.
The PSC.
Yeah.
I think it should probably be noted that this book is not a very common book in the nutrition world. And I think, again, going back to the fact that Laura and I are just really hungry for nutrition knowledge, we both have we've kind of taken a path where we're always looking for maybe not so much the straight food guide pyramid type information. We're really looking for what is the absolute best, most health promoting thing. And so in that kind of search, we both came across this book by Dr. Cate Shanahan. Again, it's called Deep Nutrition.
And I would say it's a pretty, not difficult book, but if you're someone who doesn't want all the nitty-gritty details, it might be too much.
Mm-hmm.
But she also put out a book called Food Rules, and it's basically her book just for the layperson, for someone who doesn't want to sit down and read a novel on nutrition and the biochemistry behind it and all the research behind it. So if you are like, oh, there's no way I'm going to listen or read that, you could totally read Food Rules, and it's basically that just summarized, and it's still amazing. It's still just getting her bigger points across and telling you how to use them. So that's kind of how we, started becoming twinning.
I think the great thing about Food Rules is that it's a relatively small book.
Yes.
And it's very simple. It's basically like a grocery store guide. Like if you walk into the grocery store, this is what she thinks you should eat and this is what you should stay away from.
Right. And it's not something you necessarily have to read in order. It's kind of one of those ones you could put on your coffee table and be a super nerd, but then someone could just pick it up and read one of her Food Rules. And,
oh my God, I'm totally putting it on my coffee table. That's a great idea.
I just thought that too. I totally need to. Well, I don't have it.
Anytime anyone comes over to your apartment, they're just like, hey.
Right. Instead of seeing a book that has way too many words and being like, oh, I'm not reading that. Exactly. Oh God. I just gave myself that idea.
Oh my God.
#twinning. So we also we both we're swimmers, so we have that relationship too, or that
Distance swimmers too, right? That's what you do.
Yeah, and fly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was not a flyer.
I was a flyer, but it's okay. I'll forgive her for that. We also both like the outdoors. Marie's a little more hippie-ish than I am, but we love nature. We were both, I think we were both kayaking the other day without knowing it.
Oh, yeah. On the same day.
Right. We live parallel lives. And then what else? Oh, Marie was like on the phone one day with, I think she was like talking to, setting up an appointment for a doctor, and they must have asked her birthday, and she, says it, and I looked at her and I was like, no, like we're 2 days apart.
In the same year.
In the same year. And we were just like, this is meant to be. It
was just, there was too many things that and it all kind of, I feel like it all kind of spilled out at once. Like as soon as we both found out that we were Shanahan fans, and then, oh my God, it was like a spiral quickly out of control. And then we were like, hey, do you want to go hiking? Hey, do we just become best friends? Yes.
It's like love at first sight. I mean, it does happen. I met my husband, first day of college. It's fine. I believe in that stuff.
Yes. It's
so, yeah, that's why we're hashtag twinning. So I'm glad we already talked about Dr. Kate Shanahan. She will be on our show at some point. She doesn't know it yet, but she will be.
We will hunt you down.
We will hunt you down. I also have some really cool poofs going on with my hair right now. I really wish people could see me.
I know. One day we're going to do a video cast. So is that what it's called? It's like a podcast or a video cast or like a video show? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. People totally do it though. But hey, if we finally figured this out, I have faith in us.
I might have to hire like a makeup artist for that. Jeez. God, I'm scared. I don't know if I want to do a video cast.
You know what? No, because we can show people that we're real human beings. We are not we're not actresses. We are not paid to do this. We do it because we love it.
You can pay us, though, if you head on over to Laura's website, or was it thesassydietitian.com?
Thesassydietitian.com.
Sassydietitian.com. She'll
With
find
a T.
A tab.
There are no C in dietitian.
Yeah. Amen. You'll find a tab that says Work With Me, and you can also go over to mine at pearlsofnutrition.com, find our Work With Me tab, and we would love to be paid to.
And you know what's awesome is that you can get to either of our sites from either of our sites.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a cycle. You can just, and once you're done with hers, you just kind of link back. It was funny, my mom the other day was on my site, and she goes, who is this Pearls O Nutrition? And I was like, Mom, that's Marie. That's who I keep telling you about. And she's like, I was wondering, because I got on her site, and I was like, I think I should know her, but I can't figure out why. And I was like,
She just subscribed to it.
Did she?
She did. I was so excited. I was
Mom,
like, oh.
Mom, you're not even subscribed to mine. Whoa. Okay, so she does know how to subscribe. Okay, I'm glad.
Mama Akione, I love you.
Oh, we're going to have a chat tonight.
That's so funny.
Well, I told her, I was like, Mom, subscribe to my blog. And she goes, well, I check it every day, so I don't need to do that. And I was like, no, you're checking my Facebook every day. There's a difference. Oh, well, I'm glad she subscribed to yours because that makes me happy. She probably read it and was dying because we have a very similar sense of humor. And because she's put up with my dad for 30-some years, and not put up, but like my dad's sense of humor is right on par with ours.
Uh-huh.
And he's probably even more sarcastic, which is why I am the way I am and don't realize that I'm being sarcastic. I just think that's normal life. Like, when I first met JJ, I tried to, like, not be so sarcastic because I would realize I'd say things and, like, he would take it to heart. Like, he'd be like, oh, I like you. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I don't. And, like, he'd be sad. And I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't really mean that. It was just me being a sarcastic, jerk. But yeah, she's put up with that, so she probably is, like, loving your stuff.
Oh, good.
Not to mention she's a Dr. Kate Shanahan fan, too. So
I do get pretty sassy over there.
Yeah, you are pretty sassy. So totally shout out to one of my coaches at CrossFit. His name's Dean, and he has this black sheep project going on. No, but I'll make him listen. I'll tell him we talked about him. But he... So he started like the Black Sheep Project, and I was talking to him about it last night. And it's such a cool concept because he's all about like coaching, right? And he doesn't claim to know anything about nutrition, which I also love about him because
thank God,
because he actually does know a lot. His wife is a PA, so like he actually knows more than the average Joe. But he's like, I don't claim to know. That's not what I do. I coach, you know, and he's a damn good coach. But the concept is like a black sheep, and we totally fit into that mold. We're totally black sheep.
We are. We're black sheep of the nutrition world.
Yeah, and like. We're awesome black sheep.
I mean, I don't hate it.
No, so maybe one day we'll get Dean on here and he could totally, you know, talk about coaching and just life things.
I think this is a perfect time to explain the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. So,
do you want to take this? Or you want me to take it?
I'll get real sassy real quick because I just had a very long conversation about this. So, a nutritionist, quote unquote, has no actual educational background. Pretty much any person off the street can call themselves a nutritionist. So if they, I find that this happens most often in someone who has had, some sort of like lifestyle makeover, and they turn to this really healthy lifestyle, and they have lost a bunch of weight and they're in shape and they're fit, and then all of a sudden they want to share this with everyone else, which I find fantastic. And I think it's great that when one person changes to a new healthy lifestyle, they have the ability to have that impact on other people. However, losing weight does not a nutritionist make, or a dietitian
Thank
make.
you. Thank you. Can I thank you again?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I have a perfect scenario. So, Laura, question:
Answer.
When your car breaks down, where do you take your car?
Clearly to the doctor. Okay, sorry, no, just being a jerk. The mechanic.
You take it to a mechanic, right? Now, what happens if your mechanic is not a good mechanic and does something stupid on your car? What do you do?
You throw rocks at him.
After you throw rocks at him.
You get real Italian on him and start using your hands. I've never done that, maybe. Yeah, you get a new mechanic. You find someone else.
You get a new mechanic. Right, exactly. Now, would you take your car to a chef and ask him to fix it?
Only if he was going to cook me a real good meal. But no, hell no.
Would you take it to an accountant and ask him to fix your car?
No.
No. You would take it to another mechanic. Guess what? It doesn't matter what field you're in. There are bad professionals out there. There's bad dietitians out there. There's bad doctors out there. There's bad accountants out there, okay? You have to find one that works for you. So a nutritionist is not a dietitian. A dietitian has to they have to get a 4-year degree, which actually now they're flipping over so that you're going to need to get your master's too in order to be a registered dietitian. But for the meantime, you have to have a 4-year degree in nutrition science, dietetics, one of those. And then you have to do a dietetic internship. Now, this dietetic internship is an intensive year-long process. It includes rotations, or 2. Oh, that's right. Well, Laura did a combined dietetic internship and MBA program. So hers was a little extended. Mine was a year-long. And in this internship, we do rotations in clinical, food service management, and outpatient community areas. So it gives us exposure to all of these different areas of nutrition because they're all incredibly different. So I think that the primary difference between a dietitian and a quote-unquote nutritionist is that a dietitian could sit here and say, like, okay, someone has heart disease and this is the problem physiologically of what's going on in their body. And we understand that not every single diet is going to work for every single person. And I think that a lot of times your nutritionist will say, oh, well, this worked for this person or this worked for me, and so this is what the diet that I'm going to put you on. But it doesn't work like that because everyone's body is different and everyone has different pre-existing conditions and everyone has different genetics. So you can't just have a cookie cutter one-size-fits-all diet. That's why, you could put everyone on the same diet and maybe like 20% of people would be successful at it. And then this is the crazy thing about the diet industry is that 20% that was successful will now turn on the other 80% and say, well, you didn't follow it right, or you were cheating, or, you know, there's something else going on there.
So
but
true.
This is why going to a dietitian is so important, because a dietitian understands, and not just understands, but like knows the physiology behind why everyone's body is different, and they will know how to adjust that diet to you. I would highly recommend going to a real food dietitian. And again, it's the same thing with a physician. You have to find a physician who works for you. You don't want a physician who all they want to do is prescribe you pills when you could fix it with lifestyle. You know, same thing about dietitian. There's a wonderful resource out there. I think it's realfoodrds.com. Mm-hmm. But you can meander on over there, and there's a whole list of dietitians that work specifically in real food.
You know what's crazy is I was listening to some nutritionist or health coach the other day, and she was saying, like, she kept using the word clinical as it came to dietitians, and she was using it in a negative connotation, like, oh, well, they're only clinical. And if I could have just, like, sat down and talked to her and been like, no, this is a positive thing. I mean, the fact that we worked in hospitals and worked in real settings. I mean, we've seen the worst of the worst. I've seen the end stage of pretty much every disease there is. You know, I understand it so much that now I can spit it back out in layman's terms. And the other thing is that, you know, we've practiced, they call it motivational interviewing, but we've practiced that. You know, I know how to talk to people who are educated. I know how to talk to people who aren't educated. I know how to talk to people in other languages, even when I have to use a translator phone. I mean, just knowing those little skills, like, I know what to ask when someone says, oh, yeah, well, I eat vegetables all day, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, tell me more about that. Or, you know, okay, well, what are you drinking on the side? Oh, I'm having soda. You know, like, knowing the questions to ask you, like, we know all that. And, you know, knowing that you're not one or two dimensional, like, knowing that, you know, just because you say that you're having trouble losing weight. Okay, well, let's dig a little deeper. Do you have thyroid issues? Do you have, insulin resistant issue? Like, do you have a mental condition? You know, and a lot of people do. A lot of people suffer from anxiety. You know, things like that we
what
see the whole picture.
What medications are you on that could potentially be having an impact in your nutritional status?
And I think it's not, you know, I'm glad we do have some other layers of nutritionists and health coaches, because I think they can be a good first layer, but know that they're not going to give
I also think that they can be educated.
Right. But,
you know, it's not to say that all nutritionists or all health coaches are idiots. Certainly that's not the case, but.
Right. But you have to understand that the dietitians do have the next level of education up. Like, we do know a lot more, and we've seen a lot more. And I think we get a bad name because, unfortunately, a lot of people are still tied to the food pyramid and the My Plate and, you know, the Dairy Council. And they're you know, unfortunately, they're getting paid by the government to say these things, and a lot of their education is coming from the government, but we're not all that way. I mean, we can get continuing education from things like Deep Nutrition. You know, we seek it out ourselves. There's so many other resources that we're still learning. And, you know, doctors are the same way. I mean, you can say the same thing about a lot of doctors. Like, they're stuck in their ways too, but it's a lot of our education, unfortunately. So, like Marie said, just seek out someone who is more in line with what you're doing. And, you know, if you go to a doctor and he tells you just need to be on pills, find another doctor. And same with a dietitian. You know, I was talking to Dean last night, and he was saying, you know, one of the doctors he went to, she basically just saying, oh, you know, just you have to eat X amount of carbs at this meal and X amount of carbs at this meal. And he's like, it just didn't seem right. He's like, and I was frustrated because she just kept being like, oh, no, this is how you're supposed to do it. And he's like, I've read other things. I'm like, well, you should have gone to another dietitian. He's like, yeah, I probably should have, but I didn't know. You know, It's like you're told by your doctor to go here, and that's what you do. Right. Anyway, rant.
Rant. So I guess we should probably wrap this up a little bit. But before we go, we just kind of wanted to explain what our whole idea with creating this Nutrition Genius Radio is. I think that there's 1,000,001 nutrition podcasts out there, and Laura and I totally nerd out on them all the time. But there are these hour-long episodes that sometimes I even have to go back and look things up and kind of, you know, do a little more investigation into. And I think that that doesn't really it doesn't really lend itself to educating the general public to nutrition. So Laura and I, what our goal in creating this is to have a resource for people that is entertaining but also extremely educational. We want to save the world with fruits and vegetables, and we figured that having fruits and vegetables and bacon, and butter and garlic,
and coconut oil.
We love our fat, which you'll find out because episode 2 is called Friends of Fat.
And it's a dang good one because guess what? We've already recorded it.
So we plan on having these being we're attempting to rein them into an hour, a half hour. Just kind of quick segments, and we also have little short things that we like to wrap up with, like Ain't Nobody Got Time for That, and WWCSD, What Would Kate Shanahan Do? Or my particular favorite things my patients say, but really the S word.
Right.
But we're trying to be PC.
Right. We're trying to be family friendly here.
Yes. Crap my patients say. We get some good ones.
We do get some good ones. And not even just, we'll probably expand it, not just necessarily patients, but things we hear. Like, I probably say this in episode 2 now that I'm thinking about it, but if you can just remember that eggs are not dairy, you will be my friend forever.
Oh my God. It's the worst.
Eggs come from chickens. Milk comes from cow, and they're just completely different things. Just like
they're different animals.
They're different animals, and they're different things from animals. Like it gets under my skin, and you know what? People think that
they really do.
Eggs are sold in the dairy section at their grocery store, and that's how far removed we are from farms and gathering our own food, and that's sad.
It is sad. But I also think it has to do with the fact that eggs used to be in the same section in the food guide pyramid.
Probably. Yep. So, yeah.
I have a good one. I feel like I should share. I had a patient, it wasn't a patient. It was a nurse. Shout out to nurses because your job is exceptionally difficult and I would never want to do it.
Seriously. Thank God you guys do what you do.
Yeah. Exactly. However, this particular nurse was not the brightest crayon in the box. And there was a patient who had an egg allergy. And she stopped me in the hallway of this hospital that I was working at the time and said, "Hey, I have a question for you." I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" She said, "If someone has an egg allergy, can they eat eggplant?" Laura's face. She can't even speak because she's so dumbfounded.
I did not think that's where that was going, and I'm in utter shock.
Oh my God. So it took everything I had in my body to not burst out laughing. And I was so proud of myself because not only did I not laugh, but I was like, oh, well, eggplant is a vegetable and eggs are, they come from a chicken. So if it's two totally different things. So if someone is allergic to an egg, they can totally eat eggplant. But, when you have eggplant parm, it's usually dipped in an egg wash. So I could definitely see the confusion there. And she was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And I just walked away and I was like, "Oh my gosh, did that really just happen?"
But see, that was a great reaction. And I think the training that you've had helped with that because with you, I'll act more shocked and whatnot. With a client or a patient or
you
even
have
someone,
to keep a straight face.
You do. I remember you
can't insult people
in our internship. Right in our internship, I think they were telling us when you go into the lower income areas, don't be shocked when a parent tells you that they chew their food first and give it to the child. And I'm sitting in that in my classroom, and all of us are looking at each other like, "Wait, that happens?" But that opened my eyes, and I was like, you know what? You can't have reactions that are like, "Oh my God." I mean, with my friends, that's how I am. But as a professional, you do because people come from different backgrounds. They're told different things, and you can't, and I think that the second you start judging them or showing that you're judging them, they're going to shut off from you. And I think that's why our education and our experience has helped us. We're not the food police. We're not here to judge you. We're here to teach you and empower you and hopefully, change the way you think about food and change the way, you think about nutrition so that you can be the healthiest you can be. Whoa. That was intense.
That was intense.
Sometimes I just black out and I just go. And then like I come to and I'm like, did I just say that? Okay. I can live with that.
I can work with that.
Oh, gosh. So any last words before we cut out? I got to go see a client.
Last words.
Make them good.
Eat real food.
Love it. That was better than good. If that makes any sense. So, yeah. So, hopefully you guys will tune in. Subscribe to our blogs. Find us on, all the social media sites because we're awesome.
Laura, again, is at thesassydietitian.com, and you can find her at thesassyRD on Instagram, Twitter, and you can find The Sassy Dietitian on Facebook as well. I am over at pearlsofnutrition.com, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at PearlONutrition. PearlONutrition.
Ooh, there's no F there. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for the F.
So we find ourselves funny. If you don't, then I'm sorry. But it's probably just our mom. So hi, Mom. Love you. Miss
hi, Mom.
You.
Love you.
All right. So until next time.
All right. We'll catch you next week.
All right. Peace out, yo.